Many breeders start with a dream and a piece of land, but they end up stalled because they chose the wrong animal for their ecosystem. In the world of small ruminants, there is no such thing as a superior species, only a species better adapted to your wallet and your pasture. Today we're going to break down this business from the ground up, with no fluff, just the high-level authority that comes from experience and the raw truth. The first major difference you need to understand isn't in the horns or the wool, it's in the mouth and the psychology of the animal. A goat is a natural-born explorer, an elite browser. She doesn't choose grass. She seeks out shrubs, tall weeds, and tender tree shoots. A goat looks up, defying gravity to reach that one perfect leaf. A sheep, on the contrary, is a precision lawnmower. He looks down, searching for the short, dense fiber of the ground. This distinction is vital for your bottom line. Forcing a sheep to eat tall brush is a death sentence of malnutrition. Forcing a goat to eat only from the ground is an open invitation for internal parasites to destroy your investment in weeks. Knowing the nature of your land is the first step towards stop losing money. If you have a wooded lot or overgrown brush, get goats. If you have a clean, manicured pasture, get sheep. The goat is arguably the most intelligent animal you could ever put in a pen. But that intelligence comes with a price, a constant challenge to your patience and your infrastructure. If you decide to go down the caprine path, you need to know you're not buying a docile animal. You're buying an Olympic athlete with insatiable curiosity. If your fence isn't watertight, it probably won't stop a goat that's hungry, or just plain bored. When it comes to meat breeds for North America, the undisputed king is the boar. Originally from South Africa, this breed transformed the global market. They are meat tanks with an astonishing conversion rate. Their heavy bone structure supports thick cuts, and their growth is explosive. If you want to produce pounds of meat in record time, the boar is your starting point. However, because they are so specialized, they require your nutritional management to be top tier. This isn't an animal you can just leave to luck. If you are looking for survival and low-input management, the Kiko goat is the ultimate answer. Originating from New Zealand, the word Kiko literally means meat. While the boar is the king of the show ring, the Kiko is the king of the brush. They were bred to thrive in harsh conditions with almost no human intervention. They are world-renowned for their exceptional parasite resistance and superior hoof health, making them the perfect choice for ranchers who want a set-it-and-forget-it type of animal that still delivers heavy kids at weaning. If your focus is dairy, the Anglo-Nubian, or simply the Nubian, is the crown jewel for warmer climates. Those iconic long ears aren't just for show, they act as natural radiators to dissipate heat. Their milk is famous for high butterfat and protein content, making it ideal for craft cheesemaking, a market that is booming in the US, where profit margins on artisan products are far higher than selling live animals. 1 gallon of high-quality Nubian milk can turn into gold in the right market. Goat care can be summarized in one golden rule: dry feet and a full belly. Moisture is the #1 enemy of their hooves and respiratory systems. Muddy ground will bring hoof rot problems that will ruin your production. Furthermore, goats are extremely demanding with their minerals. They need copper at levels that would be toxic to a sheep. This is why you must never, under any circumstances, use generic sheep and goat mineral blocks if you want to see real results. If goats are the chaotic athletes of the farm, sheep are the stoic managers of the pasture. For many ranchers, sheep represent a more streamlined path to profitability because they are generally easier to contain and require less specialized infrastructure. In the English-speaking market, the focus has shifted heavily toward efficiency and reducing labor costs, which is why we must talk about the hair sheep revolution. The Dorper has become the undisputed gold standard for meat production in North America. As a hair sheep, it naturally sheds its coat, completely eliminating the need for costly and labor-intensive shearing. They are powerhouses of meat production, boasting incredible muscling and a mild flavor that consumers love. If you want an animal that converts grass into high-quality protein with minimal fuss, the Dorper is your best employee. However, if you live in a humid environment where internal parasites are a constant battle, the Katahdin is unmatched. These sheep were specifically developed for low-maintenance systems. They possess a natural resistance to worms that would cripple other breeds. Their exceptional maternal instincts and high lambing rates make them the perfect choice for the pasture-first rancher who wants healthy lambs hitting the ground without constant human intervention. For those looking for the ultimate survival genetics, we have to look at the St. Croix and the Barbados Blackbelly. These breeds are the elite special forces of the sheep world. They offer a level of extreme hardiness and parasite tolerance that is essential for sustainable, zero-input grass-based systems. While they may be smaller than a Dorper, their ability to thrive where others fail makes them a critical asset for any regenerative farm. Before you start, you must remember the most important rule of sheep management. Copper is poison to them. While goats crave copper, sheep are highly sensitive to it. A single mistake with a mineral block designed for cattle or goats can be fatal to your entire flock. Success with sheep isn't about working harder. It's about choosing the right genetics and paying attention to those small, silent details that keep the flock thriving on their own terms. A fatal mistake I see every day is thinking any old pen will do. Infrastructure is your first line of defense against loss. Your design must be based on animal behavior to reduce stress. For sheep, rounded or circular pens work best. They eliminate the corners where animals pile up out of fear, which can lead to suffocating smaller lambs. With goats, the key is verticality and escaping moisture. If you give them a wooden platform or an elevated place to rest, you'll see their health improve immediately. It keeps them away from ammonia vapors and parasite larvae that climb the walls on humid mornings. Feeders must be elevated and designed so they can't put their feet in. An animal that steps on its food is an animal sowing its own disease. Shade is not a luxury. It is a critical physiological necessity. An animal under heat stress stops eating and wastes energy trying to cool down by panting. Make sure your roofs are high enough for air to circulate freely. In many parts of the country, heat kills more profitability than predators ever will. Investing in good ventilation is investing in extra pounds of meat at the end of the month. Where is the real business? It's in the lambing and kidding rates and the survival of the young. A ruminant that doesn't give you at least one offspring a year is a financial burden. Both goats and sheep allow us to use tools like the buck effect. Keeping the males completely away from the females for a month and then introducing them suddenly causes a natural synchronization of heat cycles. This allows you to concentrate births into a single window, making monitoring and vaccinations much easier. Gestation lasts about 150 days, and the last trimester of this period is the most important. This is when the fetus grows 70% of its size. If you don't supplement the mother during this stage, you will have weak, low-weight offspring and a mother with no milk. A well-nourished mother is the best guarantee of a heavy, successful weaning. Plus, it prevents pregnancy toxemia, a silent killer that can take your best ewes right before they lamb. Birthing management should be monitored but not invasive. The critical point is the colostrum. Those first 2 hours are the only window the newborn has to absorb the antibodies that will protect it for the first few months. Make sure to dip the navel in strong iodine. An untreated navel is an open door for infections that end in joint ill or sudden death. Don't skimp on this small detail. The life of your future stud depends on it. This is where many fail. The lack of records. If you don't know which mother gave you twins and which gave you a weak lamb, you aren't ranching, you're just keeping pets. A successful breeder selects by data. You must be relentless with culling. A female that doesn't get pregnant, has udder problems, or rejects her young must leave the system. Space on your farm is limited, and only the best animals deserve to occupy it. Your stud, the buck or the ram, is 50% of your flock. Never buy a male based solely on his physical appearance at a show. Buy him for his genetic history. Look for males that transmit precocity and hardiness. A good male is not an expense. He is the best investment you will make in 5 years because his daughters will be the foundation of your future herd. Weaning is the most stressful period in an animal's life and where many breeders lose their profit. Don't wean by the calendar. Wean by weight and rumen development. A master technique is creep feeding, an area where only the young can enter to eat high-quality grain or tender forage while the mothers watch from the outside. This prepares their digestive system for independence and prevents post-weaning slump. Separate the males from the females early. The sexual precocity of these animals is staggering, and you don't want accidental pregnancies of animals that aren't yet at a safe lambing size. Selection for replacements begins here. Keep the offspring that grew the fastest and were born from multiple births. That is the genetics that will multiply your dollar bills. A well-managed weaning ensures the animal doesn't stall and keeps gaining ounces every day. Ranching is the business of transforming sunlight into protein. If your system depends 100% on a bag of feed, you aren't a producer. You're a reseller for the feed mill. Your profitability lives or dies in your pastures. You must learn to manage your grass like a high-value crop. Pasture rotation is your best weapon against parasites. The life cycle of most worms is about 21 days. If you move your animals and let the grass rest for more than 30 days, the larvae starve to death before the flock returns. You are using biology to save a fortune in chemicals. Never let the grass get shorter than 4 inches. Below that height is where 90% of the infective larvae are concentrated. In the US, integrating silvopasture trees with grazing is becoming the gold standard. Trees offer shade and supplemental forage. If you are in the South, things like Sericea lespedeza can act as a natural dewormer. Understanding your local forage is the difference between a farm that drains money and a farm that generates it. goats especially, love these weeds and transform them into milk and muscle with an efficiency that will surprise you. The cost of a vaccine is pennies compared to the value of a dead animal. Clostridial diseases, like overeating disease or tetanus, do not forgive. Once symptoms appear, it's usually too late. Vaccinate your entire flock twice a year and sleep soundly. A sick animal is not just a direct loss, it is a shedding factory for the rest of the group. Parasite control must be smart. Forget the old habit of deworming everyone every month. That only creates super parasites resistant to chemicals. Use the FAMACA method. Check the color of the eye membrane. If it's pink or red, the animal is fighting and doesn't need chemicals. If it's pale or white, they are anemic and need urgent treatment. Identify the wormy animals that are always sick and get them off your farm. They are the ones contaminating your pastures and eating your profits. Always keep an emergency kit, long-acting antibiotics, an anti-inflammatory, B-complex vitamins to boost appetite, and above all, premium quality minerals. Minerals aren't an extra. They are the catalyst that makes everything else work. Without minerals, there is no heat cycle, no growth, and no immunity. It is the invisible foundation upon which your entire production is built. Where is the extra money? In value-added services and direct-to-consumer sales. Don't just sell animals at the auction house where a middleman dictates the price. Look for the direct market. Lamb and chivan are gourmet meats with massive untapped demand in urban areas. Learn to present your product. Contact local farm-to-table restaurants or specialty butchers. The price difference between selling a live head and selling premium cuts is where fortunes are made. If you focus on genetics, breeding stock, your social media is your storefront. Record weights, post photos of your births, and document the health of your studs. A buyer is willing to pay triple for an animal with real data to back up its quality. Organizing your records is what turns a hobby into a respected and prosperous ranching enterprise. The rate of return on small ruminants is unbeatable. While a cattleman waits 3 years to see the fruit of his investment, you can be selling offspring every 6 months. You have more births, faster, and in less space. Where 1 cow grazes, 8 sheep can live. Do the math. 8 potential births versus just 1. The ROI per acre always tilts in favor of the small ones if they are managed with intelligence. Raising sheep or goats isn't just about putting animals in a field. It's an art and a science that has the power to transform your lifestyle and your economy. Don't listen to those who say the land doesn't pay. The land pays those who treat it like a business, those who study, and those who aren't afraid to innovate. If you're unsure where to start today, look at your land. If you have brush and brambles, the goats are waiting for you to clear that land and bring you wealth. If you have green, flat pastures, the sheep are your allies for a massive and smooth production. Success is right there, just one decision away. I have seen small producers start with 5 ewes, and in a few years have an operation that sustains their entire family. It's not magic, it's consistency. It's waking up every morning with the goal that your animals are a little better today than they were yesterday. Small ruminant ranching is the future of sustainable protein production, and you have the opportunity to be a leader in this sector. At this point, the question isn't whether the business works, it's when you are going to make it work. I want to hear from you. Which species are you more passionate about? Are you someone who prefers the challenging intelligence of the goat or the nobility and ease of the sheep? Let me know in the comments because your experiences are what enrich this community of breeders. If you have specific problems with parasites, fencing, or breeds, write them down too. Your questions will be the engine for our upcoming videos, because this channel is for you and by you. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Here we share real, technical, and practical information so your farm can be the business you've always dreamed of. Remember, knowledge is the most powerful tool you have, but it only works if you put it into practice. Get out to the barn, observe your animals, and start applying these changes today. Success isn't waited for. It's built day after day with hard work and a clear vision. Thank you for joining me in this masterclass. Let's keep working for a more productive, more profitable, and more dignified field for everyone. To your success, fellow breeder, until next time.